I think if you follow the channel or if you follow the draft in general, which if you're a Cowboys fan, we've kind of been peeking at the draft since Dak Prescott got hurt. But anyway, if you follow the draft, then you know the hits. You know the headliners. It's Travis Hunter. It's Abdul Carter. It's Mason Graham. Ted McMillan. The guys at the top of the class. Cam Ward. You guys know those athletes. You know those prospects. But what I want to do today is get into the second to third round gems. And why will they be gems? For whatever reason. Is it their size? Is it the school that they played at? Is it maybe only 1 year of production? Is it maybe they're a tweener? They're a 3-tech? They're an edge? You know, they're kind of both. What makes them a gem? We're going to talk about that. I got 5 guys. And how I want to set the table is this. I want to get into detail. I want to talk about why these guys will be good in the NFL. And for whatever reason, yes, they may not be drafted in the first round. But if you're a team that drafts well, because you can't call yourself a team that drafts well and you don't hit on those second, third, fourth, fifth round picks and those guys don't come in and contribute. A great draft, 2 to 3 starters, that's a great draft. An amazing draft, 2 to 3 starters and 4 to 5 contributors. So let's get into my day 2 value picks, second, third round value picks, guys that I think that'll be gems. Like I'm stamping that these guys will be gems. But before we do, this video is brought to you guys by BetUS. BetUS has all your betting needs. NBA is alive and kicking. College basketball has actually been really entertaining, male and female. So you guys check out BetUS. BetUS has everything that you could think of. They actually have a live casino now. It's some really cool stuff going over there on that motherboard. So you guys check out BetUS. Number 1, a guy that I saw at the Senior Bowl, Brashard Smith, 5'10", 195 pounds. He's a Florida native. He actually committed and played at the University of Miami for 3 years. Then he transferred to SMU. Guys, this is an electric, tough athlete. Okay, so when he was at the U, he had 69 catches, 4 touchdowns, and he was kind of a special teamer, like a guy who had juice, but because of his build and his height, didn't really have a position. He goes to SMU, he makes the full-time switch to running back, and he was PFF's highest graded offensive player last year. Like, incredible. 52 forced missed tackles, 775 yards after contact. Here are the things that I wrote down about him. Quickness, acceleration, guys, I filled the page up on all of these athletes. This is going to be a fun one. Quickness, acceleration, burst, but he's also an extreme mismatch in the passing game. So when I'm out there at the Senior Bowl, I'm watching this guy, and I'm like, it's silly how he's making these linebackers look. You have to bring down a safety. You're going to have to put your most athletic linebacker on him. But what that does is it lightens the box up. It makes it gives your offensive coordinator an idea of what they want to do defensively. And if they bring in a linebacker or they bring in a safety, then you have mismatches in other areas. So when you talk about this guy in space, you can run him on Texas routes. Like, the right offensive coordinator will know how to use this guy. I was also extremely impressed with how he ran the ball between the tackles. This isn't a running back who's like, oh, you could tell he used to play receiver. No. Like, this is a running back who's physical, has good finish. Go watch the Pitt game. Go watch the Florida State game. Now, I know Florida State wasn't a great team this year. They have defensive players on that defense that are good, that are going to get drafted. He was running away from them. He was running through them. Pittsburgh game. He was running. The only game that he really, struggled, and the whole team struggled because that defense was so good, was Penn State. But I really like Brashard Smith. I think he's an electric player. I think he catches the ball well. The contact balance is really, really good. The only thing is, in the NFL, he wouldn't be labeled as an every down back. But if you have the right offensive coordinator, somebody who knows how to use multiple backs, somebody like a Sean Payton, the right OC will find work for this guy. Number 2, another Senior Bowl standout, and you have to go back and really watch teamwork to see just how good Demetrius Knight was. Let's talk about Demetrius Knight. So he started his career at the University of Charlotte, ended up transferring to South Carolina. This is a big linebacker. In a linebacker class that, let's be honest, outside of him and Jihad Campbell, it gets slow. But we also have to remember the NFL doesn't value the linebacker position the same way that it used to now. Because run game is coming back and it's making its appearance, guys like Demetrius Knight make a lot of sense. 6'2", 245. He had a play at the Senior Bowl where, it's team. He's coming downhill. He just gives the guy a shoulder. The guy goes flying. That's all over his film. He had 4 forced fumbles. every single year, and I'll put his splits from PFF on the page, every single year that he played football, he got better. The thing that I love about him is the ball. He actually made plays on the ball, 4 career interceptions. So he's not just a big lumbering guy that can just play downhill. He can actually get to his drops. He's not bad in space, and he has great closing speed and great burst. Now, he doesn't have much like edge potential, because some of those linebackers can get, they have that ankle flexion to where they can get off the edge. But, I mean, in the second or third round, if you're a team like the Cowboys that need linebacker depth, you may have to turn this card in because he's so physical. He plays between the tackles very, very well. He's played big-time football, and all he's done is getting better. Demetrius Knight he's a name, the former Gamecock. He's a name that you guys really need to get familiar with. Go watch his film. He's a really, really good player. Number 3, Quincy Riley, Louisville corner. I think a lot of people, another Senior Bowl guy, I think a lot of people have him early pegged as a nickel corner. And when we went to the Senior Bowl, we're watching, I was like, man, I wouldn't say he's undersized, but he's light. But all you saw him do on the edge was compete. He had a rep against Jaden Higgins where Jaden Higgins had to catch. He played through his hands and got the ball out. That's what you saw on film. Great ball production. He was a very aware corner. Some of these corners are good to an extent when it comes to the ball, when it comes to playing the ball. So what happens is they'll be in phase, they can't find the ball. Or they'll be in phase and they'll run into the receiver's body. Him and Max Harrison did none of that. And the reason why I call him an underground guy is because he transferred in from Middle Tennessee State. So he was like a very underground guy. But 7 career interceptions. I mean, he has something when it comes to that ball. Then the pass breakups are really good. What did I write down for his pass breakups? He had a bunch of pass breakups. I want to say it's like 11 last year. He's a very versatile, scheme-proof athlete, and that's the thing I like about him. And it jumped out when we're watching these guys and they're doing one-on-ones. Even once he got beat, he did the little things, trying to jar at the ball. He wasn't so far off the screen. It was like 4 or 5 yards of separation. He had really good instincts. So Quincy Riley, maybe in the second, third round, is going to be a steal for somebody. You can never have enough corners. You can never have enough good nickels. He'll also come up and tackle. He had 57 tackles. This guy is a really, really good player. Number 4, and if you're a Texas or a Cowboys fan and you watch Texas football, he's not a stranger to you. If you are a Clemson fan, he's not a stranger to you. That is safety Andrew Mukuba. Again, we're talking about linebacker, safety, 2 positions that the NFL doesn't really value like it once did. The NFL values left tackle, corner, quarterback, receiver. Yes, I got to tell you, this is somebody that I want on my football team. He really, really. You go back and watch his tape at Clemson. He was one of the first people. I think he was the only Clemson Tiger to ever be all SEC, all ACC Rookie of the Year. 149 career tackles, 20 career pass breakups. Play speed is amazing. Knows what's going on. Great tackler. Great in space. It's very rare to find a guy that's a great tackler but also has a feel in space. He has a really good coverage grade. The issue with him is he's slightly oversized. He's over-aggressive at times. And the one thing that I did see on his film, you talk about doing a deep dive on these guys. The one thing that I did see on his film is he gets stupid penalties. He'll be flying in there. He's leading sometimes with his head. And he's a physical guy, right? But you just have to be smart. But he is a nosy, physical, gritty safety. He reminds me a lot of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. People will say, oh, I don't like him because he plays with the Eagles. C.J. Gardner-Johnson's a really good football player, and it's because he just, with Mukuba, he has that thirst for football. You could tell that he would do this for free. He loves football. He loves to get physical. He loves to do those certain things. And when you watch the tape, watch the Georgia game. Watch the plays he made on the ball and in the run fit. Watch the tape. This guy is really good. He's one of the few safeties that can be a post safety and a box safety. Andrew Mukuba is somebody that if you have issues on your back end, and again, the quarterback tax and the receiver tax are going to push some of these guys to the 3rd and maybe 4th round. You see him sitting there in the 3rd round, you'd be hard-pressed not to draft Andrew Mukuba. And number 5, I got to admit, Jack Sawyer is one of those ones for me who probably could end up in the 1st round when it's all said and done, when people get to the film, especially because of the playoff run that he had. But I also see a world where he's in the high second round, mid second round, just because he doesn't have the bend of some of the elite pass rushers that are coming out in this class, i.e. a Mike Green. Now, he's played a bunch of big-time football, 4 years at Ohio State, coached under the great Larry Johnson. If you coached under Larry Johnson, I want you. Like, Brian Hartline, receivers, Larry Johnson, defensive line. I want you, ball. But, again, he played with some really good defenders on that defense. But I got to tell you, great bull rush, amazing power, great motor. He had to play against Texas that will go down in history as like one of the best plays. Some of that stuff gets you drafted higher than it should. I mean, you guys remember the big hit that Jadeveon Clowney had. That got him drafted. Now, he was a really good player, but it probably got him overdrafted. He never lived up to his draft status. I'm not going to say that's going to happen with Jack Sawyer, but I will say he's just a football player. Again, with all of these guys, these are guys that I want on my team. They may not have the best measurables, may not run the best 40, but they play football extremely, extremely well, and they're not going to be touted or highly, rated in the top 15 or maybe even the top 20 of some of these people's drafts. And when it gets to the second and third round, it's free game, depending on trades, depending on team need. Everybody will say best player available, but it's best player available per team. Always remember that. So Jack Sawyer, again, lacks elite bend and elite ankle flexion. Outside of that, he makes every tackle. He's really good against the run. He presses and stacks and shed and can peek and do all of that stuff really well. And he's like a throwback fundamental football player. So he's another guy who, with all these guys, I said it a bunch of times, I will want them on my football team. What do you guys think about this list? And give me a few names, okay? Brashard Smith, Demetrius Knight, Quincy Riley, Andrew Mukuba, and Jack Sawyer. Those are my 5 mid-round gems. I'm just going to stamp it. These guys are going to be great football players. Again, what do you guys think? Give me a few players that you say, Foots, I'm planting a flag for these guys. But so far in the process, these are the 5 that I got. All right. I love you all. It's your boy, Footsdaking, as always. Thank you guys for liking, sharing, and subscribing. This is going to be a great, great journey. Let's get to this draft, man. I'm excited. Peace.